Hey guys, Blaze here. Thanks for tuning into my channel. I started wing foiling and absolutely fell in love with the sport. But there were a few things that I wish I had learned when I was starting out that would have made things go a lot more smoothly. Now, through these videos I'm creating, I'm hoping to get you guys up riding, foiling a lot quicker, decrease that learning curve, and just get you up having fun riding your foil a lot sooner and a lot more efficiently. In this video, I want to talk about choosing the right gear, because when you're starting out, choosing the right gear is super important. You want to make sure that you have the right stuff for your conditions and your body size to make sure it's easy as possible for you to get going, get foiling, and start having fun. So the key things we're going to be talking about in this video are the board you should get, the wing that you're sailing, the foil that you're riding below the water, and also all the accessories that you should be using if you're going out wing foiling. So the first piece of gear that you're going to want to purchase is a board. And when I was starting out and I was trying to decide what kind of board I wanted, there was a ton of different information, different people's opinions online on the best size of board for you when you're starting out. Now, the things you're going to want to look at is how much do you weigh and what kind of conditions are you riding in. Common rule of thumb is take your weight in kilograms and add 40 to that, and that's going to give you the size of board in liters that you should be getting. So if I'm 70 kilograms, I'm going to add 40 to that, and I'm going to want around 110 liter board. I personally got 125 liter board, and I love it. It got me going way quicker than a lot of people who are struggling on lower volume boards. The bigger your board, the easier it's going to be for you to ride. But when you get a little bit more advanced, it's going to be a little slower and sluggish, kind of like driving a tractor versus a go-kart. Don't feel like you need a smaller board because you're going to progress quickly. Get a bigger board if you haven't wing foiled before. If you're new to the sport, you're going to have a ton of fun on it. I can guarantee you, you'll never be upset for getting a board that's too big. You will be upset with getting a board that's too small. The biggest thing you got to understand when you're learning to wing foil is there's a lot of things you're juggling. You're flying your wing, you're trying to get your weight distribution right, you're trying to balance on your board. So you want to have just less things to worry about when you're starting out, and a bigger board, nice and stable, standing on it is going to just take a lot of things out of the equation for you to focus on controlling your wing and getting that balance to get up on foil. The next piece of gear you're going to want to look for is a wing. And now the wing is basically your sail. It's what propels you forward. This is going to depend on your weight and how strong the wind is blowing. And typically once you get better, people have a quiver of wings. So they're going to have anywhere between a 2.5 meter wing to a 6 or maybe a 7 meter wing. Now, general rule of thumb when you're starting out, you don't want to buy 3 different wings. So the recommendation that I've read and I agree with is that if you are 70 kilograms or lighter, that's around 155 pounds, then a good starting point is a 4 meter wing. And if you're above 70 kilograms, then a good starting point is a 5 meter wing. Now, again, the wind conditions and your weight are really gonna move this number back and forth on what kind of wing you should get. But to give you guys an example, I'm 73 kilograms. I bought a 5 meter wing and I'm riding in lower wind conditions. So anywhere between 10 to 15 knots is my typical wind zone. So it's relatively light. So I wanted a bigger wing for my size, and a 5 meter gets me going nicely. And as I get more efficient, it becomes easier to ride. So if you're between 10 to 15 knots, a 5 meter wing is going to work pretty well. If you're riding between 15, 20, maybe even pushing 25. Again, that 5 to 4 meter, depending on your weight, is going to be your sweet spot. And anything from 25 up, you're going to be on a 4 meter, maybe even a 3 if you're a lighter person. You can get away with riding a bigger wing in heavier conditions. It's just a lot more strenuous because you're super overpowered. So it's a lot harder to maintain control. So hopefully that gives you guys a benchmark for what kind of wing to get for your riding conditions. So you're not buying 3 wings when you can start with 1 and start that learning curve. One thing to remember is that once you get on foil, you really only need a fraction of the power to propel you forward. So it's really just that getting up that you need a lot of wind power or wing power to get you going. But once you get up on that foil, there's basically no friction. So it's super efficient at propelling you forward, and you don't need as much power to continuously keep going. Practice and technique make a huge difference when you're windsurfing. So as you progress, you're going to be able to downsize your wing most likely. It's going to be easier for you to get up and a lot easier for you to just ride and maneuver your wing, your foil, and your board. So the next piece of gear that you're going to want to think about is your foil setup. Now, the foils basically consisted of your front wing, your rear wing, your fuselage, and your mast. And there's different sizes for all these different elements, but the front wing is probably the most important thing that you're going to be looking at. back wing always accompanies a certain size front wing just to balance it out. And your mast size is really gonna just dictate how high you can elevate out of the water. A lot of people like to start on a smaller mast, so they're not gonna have these huge breaches when they come out of the water. Personally, I started on a big mast because I wanted to just grow into it. And some of your bails are gonna be a little more severe, but honestly, you're falling into water, so it's all a learning curve nonetheless. So when we're talking about front wings, that's really what dictates how much lift you're gonna get. So the bigger the front wing, the more lift you can get out of the water at a relatively lower speed. If you have a smaller front wing, it's gonna require more force or forward momentum to generate that same amount of lift to get you out of the water. So when you're new, when you're starting out, you wanna get a big front wing. Now, how big is up for debate because different conditions, different weights, and different speeds you're gonna be riding at. But honestly, for me, again, I was in light wind conditions. I started on the biggest wing I could find. That was a Nash 2,450 centimeters squared wings. So you're measuring wings in the surface area. There's definitely different shapes, but the surface area is basically the size of that front wing. And that 2,450 made it as easy as possible for me to get up on foil and really start riding the foil itself in lower speeds. If you're riding in higher wind conditions or at a higher speed, then I wouldn't necessarily suggest going lower in your front wing size. The difference between riding big wings and small wings is kind of like driving a semi-truck versus a go-kart. It's a lot more difficult to maneuver, and you're gonna have a lower top speed riding your bigger wing. But again, when you're beginning those first 6 months to a year, you just want to get up on foil and have some fun. So if you start too small, and if you're a heavier guy, then you're going to have a tough time even getting up onto foil and learning how to ride that foil. So decrease your learning curve, get a wing. If you're lighter, around 2,000 square centimeters. If you're heavier, go 2,450. If you're light and you want to just ride those light wind conditions as easy as possible like I did, then just go 2,450 centimeters squared right off the bat, and I guarantee you, you're gonna love it. You're gonna get up on foil a lot quicker than people struggling around you, and you're gonna start learning and start that progression where you can then downsize your wing as you start to progress. Okay, so we've gone over our board, our wing, our foil setup, and really those are the three key things you need to start wing surfing. But there are a few essential accessories that you're definitely gonna wanna get your hands on before you go out wing foiling. And the first one is a helmet. These foils are super dangerous, and there are some aggressive bails when you're starting out. So one thing I would not ride one of these wing foils without is a helmet, and you know, there's a ton of different water helmets out there. I'm gonna list all my gear that I personally like in the video description below, so check that list out. I'm gonna try and update this with time to keep it current on my favorite gear and accessories. So again, helmet is the first accessory you're gonna want. Second thing is a compression vest. This is just a more comfortable life jacket style appliance where it's gonna keep you floating in the water, keep you buoyant, gives you some maneuverability, but isn't as cumbersome as a life jacket. Again, there's a ton of different options out there, but I'll put a few suggestions in the video description below. Third accessory that I definitely suggest getting is a leash for your board. Your wing, your sail that you hold is gonna come with a leash, but your board might not come with a leash. I absolutely would not go into the water without a leash on my board. A foil can easily take off on you, and if you're in a strong wind situation or there's a little bit of swell, then those foils can catch a wave, catch the wind without you even on it, and it'll be impossible to get. So make sure that you have a leash when you're going out on foil. And the last thing is just a pump to inflate your wing. Most wings do come with a pump already, but that's something you're gonna wanna make sure you have when you go out wing foiling. All right guys, so that is all the accessories you need. I hope you found this video helpful. Make sure to check out my other tutorial videos on wing foiling. I'm gonna try and put a ton of content together on all the information that I wish I knew when I was just starting out. So check those videos out. I'll put a few in the video description below. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a comment. If you like this video, smash that like button. Consider subscribing to my channel, and hope you guys get the stoke on wing foiling as much as I have. I'm absolutely obsessed with this sport. Can't wait to do more. Can't wait to share more tips and tutorials with you guys. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in, guys, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.